fun at the outset, but turns into the most amazing opportunity ever. So for those of you that don't know me, and I know a lot of you in the room, my name's Jeannie Walden. I've been a chief marketing officer forever, big ad agencies, small ad agencies. I've had 5 of my own businesses. I was doing a lot of speaking about work-life balance after the pandemic because I don't believe that work-life balance exists. I believe it's called work-life blend. And in work-life blend, we're living our lives while we're taking care of our families, which is what we all did during COVID. And after that, we went back to the workplace. And I really felt like there was no opportunity to find information at the same time that talks about how to be great at home and how to be great at work. I was approached by 2 producers, and they said, you should start a TV show about that. So I retired from marketing, and I did. I started a TV show, and that's what they were mentioning. And the show airs on CBS in Atlanta and Tampa, and it will be airing in Dallas, and it streams on Tubi, and it's cool. But what that allowed me to do was to really spend some time figuring out the things that excite me the most in the world of marketing. And when I had an opportunity to work with Rite Aid through what is an incredible transformation, I couldn't not do it. So what I'm here to talk to you about today is what we're doing with Rite Aid. And the topic of the conversation is transformation throughout the retail industry against all odds. So in the world of Rite Aid, on October 15th, 2023, everything we at Rite Aid knew changed. We filed bankruptcy. We filed Chapter 11, not Chapter 7. And the entire business that has been a part of our lives for so many years became a significant risk and at jeopardy. And how many people here are from California or grew up in California? Anybody? So there are some hands. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Virginia, Idaho. These are all places where Rite Aid, Florida, where Rite Aid has had stores and been the pharmacy that people trusted. And they also have Thrifty ice cream, if you know it from the West Coast. But on October 15th, the company made the decision that based on everything happening from a macroeconomic standpoint and everything that was happening with our business, we needed to take an opportunity to start the second chapter of our lives. But what happened from a marketing perspective is my entire world, everything that I knew about being a great marketer changed overnight. And everything that my team knows about marketing changed overnight. And it will never be the same for us. So I love coming to these conferences and listening to all of the great presentations and meetings. A conversation with MasterCard was incredible today. Conversations that I've had with people who are doing traditional marketing because unfortunately, my news created 1.7 billion social media impressions. And for everybody that loves looking at pie charts, you can see the 81% that were not positive. And I can pretty much promise you that those 14% that were neutral just didn't have swear words in them. But from a news perspective, the entire company and its future was unknown. And I've worked in the fintech space, and I've worked with a lot of people in the finance space, and they say this, for traders, the only thing the market cannot deal with is uncertainty. And here we were at Rite Aid in an uncertain situation for all of the millions of people who rely on us every month for their prescriptions. So you couldn't do traditional marketing. But at the same time that was happening, and this is what our people looked like. These aren't our people, but they pretty much, well, that was probably me last night before I came here. But at the same time that was happening, the rest of the world was changing as well. I mean, bankruptcies, both company bankruptcies and personal bankruptcies, had surged 18%. Interest rates were higher. We were deciding on whether there was a recession. We started to, hear the presidential debates and everything that was happening. The world was at war. We've got global warming. I mean, we just came out of a pandemic. So it wasn't just Rite Aid that was having a bad day as a company. It wasn't just a crisis moment like the Exxon Valdez oil spill. This was a monumental change in what was happening that shook our customers and our employees to the core. And it was something that as a company, we needed to embrace. And so what I'm here tonight to talk to all of you about is about how to embrace the change that is in front of every single one of you as leaders of your business, as suppliers into the business, because what's happening isn't going to stop happening from a macro environment. It's going to affect your companies. I mean, Newsweek reported that, I believe Newsweek is still open, reported that 40,000 people were laid off in January alone. And if you read any of the media, I mean, it's just mass layoffs after mass layoffs after mass layoffs. So how does a company stay alive in the retail space or any space during this time of transformation? So what we realized was we needed to not just look at doing marketing differently. We needed to stop everything we were doing and transform the brand while the entire industry was transforming around us. And that's something that most people don't think about. You look at your marketing plans and you think about, oh, I need to, find more effective ways of doing social. I need to streamline costs over on my MarTech stack. But are you looking at your brand strategy as it relates to what's happening in the economy? And what do you need to know about that? So we came up with this concept that if we're going to win at Rite Aid, there better be a differentiator. And when you're a pharmacy, a retail pharmacy, and there's 2 other retail pharmacies that are bigger than you that we're not going to mention their names on this conversation today, that pretty much do the same thing. If you have allergies, you can go to any of those or any of the neighborhood pharmacies. It's pretty much the same price. If your insurance copay is $10 at one pharmacy, it's $10 at another pharmacy. There's a little bit of variance. If you need a Diet Coke at one pharmacy, it's the same price pretty much as the other pharmacies. How do you differentiate a brand that really doesn't have a lot of differentiation, that's in the state of bankruptcy, when you're battling local news who's just reporting the news at the same time that the world is crashing below you? So we actually looked inside and we said, why does this company even exist still? And we really asked a question of the entire company. And we talked to a lot of store associates, a lot of pharmacists, a lot of pharmacy tech people. And what we heard time and time again when we talked to customers was, I come to this pharmacy because George is my pharmacist and I've known him forever. And if he moved to a different store, I'm actually going to go with him. Or Mary at the front counter, she's on the PTA with me. Of course I'm coming to Mary's store. This is where she works. And what we realized was the brand really means more. The brand isn't about the shiny signs or the objects. It's about the people in it. And we thought to ourselves, what if we transform the brand to do something crazy, transform the brand from the inside out around this positioning that it means more at Rite Aid? And so that's what we did. And we did it using 4 different components of brand transformation. And the first one was we had to explain to the company, and I sit on the ELT, and we had to explain to the ELT, who never gets to hear about marketing. I mean, you get the finance, you get the CFO talking all the time, you get the legal guy talking all the time. Everybody talks all the time, and in a pharmacy company, it's the chief pharmacy officer and the chief merchandising officer, but marketing is, do you hit the numbers, yes or no, okay, move on. So most ELTs don't necessarily care too much about a company's brand, but what we realized was if we're going to change the marketing, we have to change the company's position. So the first thing we did was we built a framework that said, we're starting inside the business. We're not starting externally with new ads. We're not starting with one-sheeters. We're actually starting with the associates. And we're going to make some material changes and get the entire ELT on board to agree to support this. And so one of the first things that we did was we said, if we're going to do a new commercial, we're going to cast real store associates in it, real pharmacists, real technicians. And then we're going to use those cast members to start a brand ambassador program inside the company. And we're going to flip the switch on social and embrace all of the authentic social channels that we have by letting our pharmacists become the heroes and letting the front store associates become the heroes. And we're going to change the way that the entire company talks about this, not just the way that marketing talks about it and add some ROAS to it and move along with the day. So the second thing that we did was we realized, and this is really hard because I'm not the detail person, so my team did a really, really good job at this, was that we looked at every detail of the business. If you're going to say it means more at Rite Aid, I call it buffaloing the project. We looked at every part of the buffalo. And most marketing teams don't do this. It's the biggest opportunity to improve results. I've done it at many companies before, is when you sit down with every ELT member or their representative in your company, and you talk about what you're thinking about doing with a marketing brand strategy, and you say to them, if this works, how will it feel to you? Not how will it look. How will it feel? How will it feel that if I know that this is working? And in the case of changing the brand strategy, a person from the legal team said, if it works, I guess it's going to feel a lot easier to negotiate contracts. Something that most marketing people never consider as a KPI in their strategy or never consider as a benefit. So then we started to talk about that, and we said, okay, well, if it's easier to negotiate contracts because we have more credibility and because people trust us more, so they're not going to be as adverse, how many hours will that save you? So we went back and we did the marketing math on it, and we realized that if we do the brand the right way, and if it is embraced by our suppliers in addition to our customers, we'll reduce red lines and legal process, and we can save X million dollars a year. Also, not a KPI that typically shows up on a ROAS slide, and not a KPI that shows up, but it affects the bottom line, and it really helps EBITDA. So we looked at every detail of the business. We identified what would the value be, not just for the customers, but for all of our internal stakeholders as well. We're a pharmacy, we're a retail pharmacy. So what does that mean for the pharmacist? If you say it means more at Rite Aid, what does that mean? Does it mean that you're going to get more shots when you come in to get vaccinated? Does it mean that you're going to get more time with the pharmacist, more discounts? What does it mean at the pharmacy level? What does it mean from the front-end store associate service level? And what does it mean for the community? How do you really show that it means more? So we've created plans for all of these pillars and many, many more, but 4 little flower petals look better than 64 flower petals, so that's what you got on this side. But it's really, really important to do what I call the buffalo process. When you have a new marketing campaign, to just take the time, it is so painful, to find the time with every ELT member and sit down and explain what you're doing and ask them, what's it going to feel like if it's successful, and have them look at you like you're crazy, and then actually help walk them through that, and then get to a point where you imagine that for your customer support team, it's going to feel like we finally got it right this time, because it's not 81% negative commentary, it's 42% negative commentary, which would be, a huge adjustment. The third thing that we did was we looked across the entire portfolio to identify where are we going to be able to implement these initiatives. And when I say portfolio, I mean Rite Aid is Rite Aid, the retail pharmacy company, but within Rite Aid, we own an ice cream plant called Thrifty. We own a business called Health Dialogue. We have a not-for-profit that's associated with us called Healthy Futures. There's so many things that our business encompasses that are not just the primary Rite Aid. And I was adamant when we briefed the agency that as we were coming up with this, it had to be flexible enough that if at Thrifty Ice Cream, if I wanted to say it means more at Thrifty Ice Cream, that it would make total sense. And that's really hard. We actually had to work really hard to figure out what is the value prop for the entity that can be applied at any level in the business and still make complete sense. If we say to the front-end associates that it means more from a service perspective, what does that mean? If we go to NACDS, the National Association of Drug Chain Stores, and we talk to our suppliers, and we say it means more if you work with us at Rite Aid, if you give us your product, if we get advance notice, if we get special deals, what does that mean? What's the marketing around that? So instead of just saying, oh, and here's how we're going to update our emails, and here's what we're going to do with influencers, we looked at every part of the portfolio and made sure that we created a plan for them. And then what we recognized and I think discovered is that those 4 Ps, price, product, promotion, they don't exist in today's world anymore. They've actually changed. And it's more around positioning, process, performance, and partnership. And I heard a lot of conversations today about, oh, we've partnered with this company. We're looking to partner with this company. This is a partnership that we did. And you know, we really are very, very, very heavily relying on partnerships to help us through as we continue the legal process of bankruptcy, to create brand equity and to show other people that, hey, well, if this company is working with us and I trust this company, Rite Aid must be awesome as well. So we're changing almost everything about how we go to market. And it's really interesting. I had the benefit, I call myself the luckiest CMO out there, because I had the benefit of when your company files bankruptcy, you are forced to change everything about the way you do business. So there was no change management. I didn't have to beg for the ELT to please let me do this new positioning and please accept it. We kind of had to, so I got the easy way out there. But what we did was we started to look at, you know, what else can we change? And we ask ourselves every single day, and I've been asking many of you as I've been meeting with you, well, how can I change what I'm doing now? I was in one of the table meetings, and I'm like, oh, so I can eliminate this vendor because I can streamline it this way. And it's a constant question as marketers we always need to ask ourselves, why am I doing it this way, and can I change it? Especially in a Fortune 200 company like Rite Aid, we need to be able to look at things and realize, because we're also remote, that if somebody isn't always asking what else can we change and how can we change for the better, then we're never going to change for the better. So some of the things that we're doing that you see here, and I talked about, is we're also, in addition to, and these are the associates, these are our pharmacists and our front-end associates, which are in our commercials. They're the stars. They're also going to be the stars of our ambassador program that we kicked off. But we're also taking from our commercials all the imagery, and we're pulling it through the entire company. So instead of siloed production of, oh, my signage in stores looks like this, it is all going to start from the commercial imagery and the stop motion. So if you've got, you know, any of these people on in an ad, and if they're talking about Thrifty ice cream, above the case of Thrifty ice cream, it's going to be their pictures. So that when you watch the TV commercial or you stream the TV commercial or you see it show up and digitally anywhere, that you then walk in the store and there's that immediate brand recognition. And it's going to work vice versa too. You know, hopefully you're in your store to pick up a prescription, and when you leave, you just happen to notice. I can't remember what the exact term is, but it's, you know, where once you see one red car and somebody talks about red cars, everything's a red car all of a sudden. The Proto principle. So, you know, we did that too. But we also looked at prescriptions and vaccines. Yes, please come to Rite Aid. If you live near Rite Aid, please come to Rite Aid and get a vaccine. You could get up to 4 at once. Please come and get them. That helps out our business and will help you be healthy. But we thought, why do we have to do vaccines just in the store? What about some great partnerships for vaccine clinics? So we've done a partnership with Wells Fargo Stadium in Philadelphia. I'm from Pittsburgh, so it will pain me to say that we are the proud partners of the Philadelphia Flyers, but I do say it out loud because that is my job. And you know, we're looking at vaccine clinics where, you know, the players can get vaccinated as well if they want to. And there's a lot of things that we're actually doing, a lot of trade and consumer press. This is a screenshot from one of the games where you can see Rite Aid is there. We're looking at, and this is crazy because I never thought in my entire life that I would do wrapped cars. We're doing wrapped cars because what we realized from a marketing perspective is today we're battling local commentary. So there's no more, well, there still is, occasional, but it's not a barrage of financial press like the Wall Street Journal that you saw saying Rite Aid filed bankruptcy. It's Mary who goes to a Rite Aid store that unfortunately is closing as we optimize our store footprint, who thinks she's doing the right thing and texts her entire mom chat group, hey, Rite Aid's closing, you might want to move your prescriptions. It's the local news channel or the local patch that is just reporting the news and saying 4 more Rite Aid stores close in Portland, Oregon. that then causes you to think, oh my God, mine might be closing too, and move their prescription. It's the really savvy other retail companies and pharmacy companies that I won't name that put on their billboards, Rite Aid customers welcome here, giving you the feeling that Rite Aid is closing when they're not. So I'm battling the common conversation. And I was telling many of you, I had friends in this past weekend from California that we hadn't seen in a while, and they were asking me what I was going to do for a job. Because they thought Rite Aid was closed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, we're doing so much. You have to change. In today's world, as you all see on TikTok, and somebody said it earlier, I'm going to see where I should go out to eat looking at TikTok. If I want to get the real news, I'm going to look at TikTok. Today's marketing force is the common person. That means your brand needs to be focused on how to cater to the common person, from your positioning to your process to drive performance and partnerships. And we ask ourselves every single day, are we meeting customers where they are and enhancing their experience? So prior to the filing, we looked at our business as the front-end business, the pharmacy business, the online e-com store with BOPS, and then the 3P store. Today, it is looked at as the best way to get products to the customer when they need them, how they need them. And the realization is today I might want to go into a Rite Aid. Tomorrow I might want to drive through on the way to pick up my kids. The next day my daughter might be sick on the couch and I don't want to go to Rite Aid, so I order Instacart or DoorDash. And the next day I might be shopping online to get early presents for my other daughter who doesn't live in the same state. We have to focus on the customer experience. But this entire customer experience is driven by word of mouth. We've got PLAs like everybody does. We've got our ads. We've got SEO. We're relying on all of these capabilities. But where we're putting all of our big bets on are the experience that these people have to tell others about the incredible experience they have. And what that means is the experience conversation doesn't just stop with the person who's buying your product. It also starts with the person who's supplying your product. So whether on the pharmacy side, it's our pharmaceutical suppliers, or on the front end side, it's the merchandising suppliers, we really had to ask ourselves, do we have the most powerful relationships? And some of you that I was talking to earlier heard my story that before the pandemic, a prior team and a prior CEO decided they wanted to have more healthy items in the store. So in certain states, Rite Aid sells beer and alcohol, and they told one of our beer and alcohol distributors that we don't need them anymore. That kind of offended them. We were their best-selling retail pharmacy chain. So when we came back a couple years later and said, hey, we really miss your product, and can you come back to our stores? It was a tough ride. It was like, breaking up with that special someone the night before prom and then coming back 2 months later and, trying to wonder why they're not going to talk to you. So you have to look at the inside customer and the outside customer. But what we've done with It Means More, to just point it out to you, is we've not only looked internally and externally. We're not only just relying on our employees and our partners and everybody else in the company to define what success looks like, we're also integrating it in everything that we do. So these next few slides, I thought would be a great example that anybody in the retail space, especially anybody in the grocery space, would probably appreciate. This is our digital circular redesigned. So instead of just having your traditional digital circular that you can click on and buy items or pick up when you're in store, what we actually did was we took the concept of It Means More and we said, all right, here's something about personal care. Instead of just having the products, which is what we used to do, let's insert one of our employees, one of the associates, with a fun fact. Everybody loves fun facts. And this is a fact, we built this for today. So this is a fact that didn't come from us. This fact came from CNN. But did you know that more than 1/3 of adults sleep less than 7 hours per average? So now you might be intrigued. Like, you might not need NyQuil right now, but you're going to be intrigued. And you might click on this woman. And I'll show you what happens in a minute when you click on her. But similarly, we also have testimonials. Who puts employee testimonials in their circular? Like, that's space that sells. yeah, that's space that sells a lot more when you see that the people that work there love their job and you feel like you can help them out if you come and patronize the company that they work at. So you click on the woman, and now it just takes you to her social media, where we can have social media where she's just doing a little TikTok or doing a little message, Instagram, Facebook post, something that's local, something that's super authentic, where she's just talking about, hey, here's what I want to talk about today. And by the way, if you happen to live in Philadelphia, come by my store. I'd love to talk to you. It's one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we got from customers was when the store associates speak to me, I feel like they care about me and I want to come back. So we made it more easy for social, and we give them the chance to learn more. But then we took it another step. At the back of the circular, we're creating information about all the different ways that you can shop with us. Previously, the digital circular used to be about its digital circular, come into the store. But recognizing that today you might not look your best, you might not want to leave the house, that's okay. We got same-day delivery. You want to call, you have a question, call customer care. So we added all of these pieces that, yes, they're all on the website, and yes, you can get to them, but oftentimes people forget. So we're in front of them, giving them information about what it really means. And we're also looking at billboards. So this was a funny idea because 28 years ago, I worked on some of the first email marketing campaigns, and I worked with CK1, and they did these billboards in Boston. They had 3 models from CK1, and it was the beginning of email, and so it was just models, these beautiful models, and it would say, it was their email address, Anna at CK1, Tom at CK1, Jennifer at CK1. They were just billboards. The amount of inbound emails that CK1 got from these models was unbelievable because it opened up a dialogue. People were like, oh my God, you look like your sister. Oh my gosh, will you go out on a date with me? Oh my gosh, how do you get those arms to look so great? What exercise do you do? What do you buy? And it was this phenomenal way of engaging with customers that had never been done before because it was the beginning of email. It was really long ago, but our agency came back and said, you know, everything old is new again. Why don't you do that for pharmacists? Now with QR codes instead of email addresses. But why don't we look at doing billboards where it's the pharmacist saying it means more and just giving you the opportunity to send a message to Antonio? How can we make things look like we're connecting more directly because we care about you? And maybe in the larger retailer stores, you're not going to get this direct support. Or maybe in the small neighborhood retail and pharmacy stores, you're not going to be able to get this access to the same amount of people. What if you're in line where everybody is when you're at the pharmacy waiting for your prescription, as we all know? Why don't we give you something to read about what's happening in the community? And in this case, this is talking about one of the programs that we support. It's like the Roundup program called KidSense. But that's on the one side. On the other side, we've got your checklist. I mean, you're standing in line anyway. And we've done many tests. If somebody's standing in line waiting for their vaccine, waiting for their prescription, you know, what else can they buy? Just one more thing, just one more trip, that kind of stuff. So what if we gave somebody the to-do list and give them the ability to just scan a QR code and see what's on sale? We've tested this out, and we can see the increase in basket size. But to the customer, it looks like it means so much more because we took the extra minute to remind them of what else they might need and talk about convenience. So we really are going all in on this concept of it means more at Rite Aid as part of the brand transformation that we're living in. And I truly believe that it's more than just a brand transformation for a company that filed Chapter 11 and is looking at the future and a 2.0 strategy. This is what every brand needs to do right now. Because of all the outside factors, the way we have done marketing isn't going to make it as profitable, as successful, and as resilient any longer. And we're seeing that from 40,000 layoffs in the month of January. So as we look at it, I think the message that I'm going to give to you as you're finishing your dinner is, to really look inside your company and figure out what differentiates you from everybody else. And how do you turn that into something so powerful in your company that you can then launch it from the inside out and turn it into something that really just means more. So I think before we go to questions, we're going to cut the live